Hi my loves, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and I'm here to talk to you about all things reading, writing, and publishing. So today I want to talk about how to make time for writing. And what I mean by that is just carving a space in your life to be able to write, whether that's building routine or just being able to sit down and get started. So I know for new writers this can seem really daunting and challenging, especially if you don't know how to start. I feel like there's just so much discussion in the writing community about this, about the right or wrong way to build a routine and what to do, and really there is no right or wrong way. There's just whatever works for you. And so I wanted to kind of share my routine and how that's changed, and then give you some general tips and tricks for building that routine. So for me, my way of writing and my routine for it is really unconventional. Number one, I don't listen to the advice to write every day. I don't feel like you have to. You just have to find what works for you. And if writing every day is easier for you, or if you have that time, that's perfect. You should definitely do that. But my number one rule of thumb is make sure you are consistent. Find a routine that works for you and try to stick with it the best you can, even if it changes over time. So I really didn't start building a routine until last year. So prior to the pandemic, I was working 7 days a week as a daycare teacher and at my local library, and I did not have time to write whatsoever. I was writing in between shifts and at night, but wasn't at any certain time or any certain day. It was just whenever I had the chance. It wasn't for very long periods of time. And so it was unstructured and there was no consistency with it. I was still able to write and I was still building on progress with my projects, but I wasn't doing anything substantial in my opinion. It just wasn't working for me. When the pandemic happened and both my jobs closed down, that's when I really started trying to figure out, okay, how can I build a routine? And so I worked a lot on poetry and I worked a lot on my summer whip, and I started figuring out that I needed to build stretches of time where I could write. I couldn't just sit down, say I was going to write, and then do it. I had to really get in the groove of it. I couldn't just write for 5 minutes and then be done, because it wasn't building any progress. To write for me, I have to put my mind to it. I have to sit down and carve that time. So once I started going back to school and everything in my life started picking back up again, I started building more of a routine. So right now I go to school full-time and I work part-time, and I obviously have other things going on in my life that take up time too. And so for me, I write on Fridays and Saturdays primarily. And what I do is I carve out chunks of times that I call sessions, because this makes it easier for me. So sessions are usually 1 to 2 hour stretches of time where I sit down and the only thing I have to do is write, and I try to just keep going as much as I can. So these sessions really help me. I'll do it usually in the morning and then again in the evenings. My goal for them is always 1,000 to 2,000 words. I know that's kind of a lot, but because I'm only writing twice a week, it's just what works for me. You can totally be flexible with this, whether it's the time you put into it or the word count you want to try to get to. It's different for everyone. This is just what my routine is. And so carving those spaces on Fridays and Saturdays really helped me to build where I want to be. When I sit down and I decide I want to write, I make sure I don't have any other tabs open. I don't have anything else I want to get to. I just make writing my priority for that stretch of time. Sometimes I play music, sometimes I don't. Things like that are always different for everyone, and it's totally up to you what you want to do. So that comes my major point, is consistency is the key. You just have to find what works for you and build with it, whether that's writing twice a week like I do, once a week, or even more than that per week. It's different for everyone, and that's totally okay. Just don't feel like you have to do it a certain way, because you don't. There's a different process for everyone. It's all about what works for you and building consistency on that. I know as life changes and school progresses, because I'm set to graduate in December, that my routine is going to change. I'm totally planning for that, and that's fine. It's just about making sure you get to where you want to be. Another huge part of building a writing routine is finding your community online, and I'll definitely talk about that more in a video. But finding your community online is definitely going to give you that support system to be able to make sure you're sticking to your routines and sticking to your goals, and just having support when you need it. My writer friends that I have, and I've met through Twitter, are absolutely amazing. They keep me motivated and they keep me focused on what I want to do. So that's the thing. Consistency is key, believing in yourself is key, and so are support networks. Once you have those, it kind of gets easier to try to build a routine and figure out what's best for you. As always, stay safe, stay well, and stay radiant. I can't wait to see you next week. Bye, loves.